viewers, you're watching RTD's English News Edition. Here are our top stories for tonight. Introduction of guaranteed fund activities between Ministry of Finance and private sector. Our international news first warm up with the release of prisoners. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed decorated Commander Dominique Duro with the Nile Medal in the National Order of 27 June in the Prime Minister's honorary lounge. In service in Djibouti for 3 years as technical advisor to the Director General of National Police, he reached the end of his mission. Commander Dominique Duro arrived in Djibouti on January 2, 2016 and participated in the ongoing training of Djibouti police officers in many areas, especially in the fight against terrorism. He played an important role in the joint exercises organized with the police officers of the French raid. And he also prepared Djibouti police officers for the selection tests to access French police schools. The decoration ceremony of Commander Dominique Duro at the Prime Minister's office took place with the participation of Director General of the Police, Colonel Abdullahi Abdi Farah, and the new French ambassador to Djibouti. During the ceremony, the commander was surrounded by his family and collaborators. The Prime Minister's close collaborators, including Mr. Ali Silai and Hassan Mohammed Kamil, took part in the decoration ceremony of Commander Dominique Duro, who is leaving his functions as advisor to the Director General of the National Police after 3 years of loyal service. Small and medium business-sized enterprises now have a guarantee fund, the initiative of the highest authorities in the fight against poverty. Not only do they support their activities, but also and above all, they contribute to economic growth. This was the objective of this meeting held at the Kempinski Hotel between the members of the government and representatives of the banking sector. The Guarantee Fund is an initiative taken by the government to boost the private sector. Its implementation follows the observation that the industrial and economic fabric is very poorly developed and not very diversified. To give a new impetus to this sector through the access of small and medium enterprises to bank credit that the fund was initiated, this fund will encourage the creation of subsidiaries, particularly small and medium businesses in our country. Its purpose is to improve the conditions of access for micro enterprises and small and medium enterprises. Legally, the shareholding structure is composed by the state. This launch ceremony is the culmination of a long process to make the private sector the engine of economic growth with its guarantee funds in order to accelerate its development while fighting poverty through the creation and provision of employment for young people. A signing ceremony was held between representatives of the private sector and the main senior officials of the institutions. This guarantee fund is intended, among other things, for the creation, modernization, and extension of industrial units and their activities. It will also provide short-term loans, such as working capital loans for small businesses. The governor of the central bank, Mr. Ahmed Osman, first congratulated this initiative and pointed out that the guarantee fund plays a key role in the growth and development of a country. As for the Minister of Finance, Yes Moussadouali, also recalled that this fund will provide bank guarantees to financial institutions to stimulate small and medium businesses, according to him, and financing and unleashing their potential to foster inclusive growth for the country. After the launch of the Guarantee Fund, the minister received in his office a delegation of Japanese experts led by the Japanese ambassador. At the end of this meeting, the discussions focused on cooperation through the collection of information on the financial management of our country and then exchanged points with the various Djibouti institutions in order to establish a financial management strategy. Djibouti, in its economic transformation and its ambition as a regional hub, wants to diversify its economy and is revising its strategy to develop a multi-model and involve the private sector for better growth. The minister stressed that Djibouti is today is in synergy with economic globalization and trade. He said this should allow us to have a thinking that is not limited to the local but international level, to be in perfect connection with the opportunities in the global economic situation. It should be noted in passing that this meeting is part of the cooperation relations between Djibouti and Japan. UNFD collaboration with the Ministry of Women and Family and the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Social Affairs organized today an International Literacy Day. This ceremony was attended by one of the Vice President of the UNFD, Hasna Mohamed Belil, the Minister of National Education, Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, the Minister of Women and Family, Mumina Ahmed Hassan, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Muna Osman Aden, and Director General of the ANPH, Douali Said. International Literacy Day, it is celebrated around the world every year on 8th September and brings together governments, civil society, and all relevant stakeholders. It provides an opportunity to highlight achievements in literacy and to reflect on how to address the remaining challenges. Several interventions took place during this ceremony. The leaders present indicated in turn that International Literacy Day 2019 will focus on literacy and multilingualism. Despite the progress made, literacy problems persist unevenly distributed between countries and populations. They recalled that taking linguistic diversity into account in the development of education and literacy is essential to meet these challenges and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. In a speech for this occasion, Vice President of the National Union of Djiboutian Women, UNFD, Mrs. Hasna Mohamed Belil, stressed the important role played by the National Union of Djiboutian Women in the field of literacy. As for the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, praised the efforts of the National Union of Djiboutian Women in the field of literacy as well. The Minister of Health, Mr. Mohamed Warsama Diriye, met this morning in his office with all the medical staff, infectious diseases doctors, and hospital directors to discuss the measures implemented to prevent chikungunya disease. The important meeting follows the announcement by the Ethiopian authorities of suspected by unconfirmed cases of this disease in and around Diridawa town. It is therefore a viral disease transmitted by mosquitoes and causes fever and joint pain. In his intervention, the Minister of Health recalled that the Department of Health has already undertaken all the preventive and curative measures that are being implemented under the emergency protocol for epidemiological surveillance at all entry points, and particularly at the various border point posters in Nagad Station in Djibouti International Airport. In addition, all clinical management measures have been activated and therapeutic protocols have been defined in all health facilities in the country in order to increase their capacity for intervention and enable the treatment of individuals affected by this disease. The President of the Djibouti Ports and Free Zone Authorities, Mr. Abubakar Omar Hadi, perfected the fourth China-Arab States exhibition, which closes today at Yinchuan, capital of Xinjiang Province, China. In addition to his participation, Mr. Abubakar Omar Hadi attended the opening ceremony before having a meeting with Mr. Qiu Po, the president of the Chinese People's Consultative Policy Conference. In addition, Mr. Hadi participated in a panel discussion where he had the opportunity to promote our infrastructure. He then visited the stand of the Djibouti Ports and Free Zone Authorities, and finally, the president of the Djibouti Ports and Free Zone Authorities gave interviews to the Chinese and international media. A fire broke out this morning around 9 a.m. in Omboli neighborhood behind the Omboli Health Center. According to witnesses, 5 houses were burned by the fire that was controlled by the firefighters as well as the help of the young people of the Omboli neighborhood. In the context of the fight against illicit trafficking for contraband goods, the inter-armed battalions of the Ali Sabih Bayas region, in close collaboration with the Customs Brigade, intercepted yesterday a quantity of contraband cat bags. A record quantity of 46 packages were seized. The market value of this smuggling is estimated at 2,300,000 francs Djibouti. As a matter of procedure, the entire smuggled cat was destroyed by fire in the presence of customs officials from the Al Sabih region. We regret to inform you of the death yesterday of Alaya Musa Absiye at the Omar al-Bashir Military Hospital in Djibouti. Born on January 1st, 1955 in Arta, the deceased was retired from EDD, where he pursued a career throughout his active service. Senior electrical technician, he was one of the first graduates of the former CET Technical Colleges. In addition to his brilliant career, he was also president of the Jama Garato Youth Association called Matano before becoming president of the RPP Annex. He leaves behind the widow and his 6 children. The Minister of Finance and Secretary General of the RPP, the Minister of Energy, Minister of Communication, our parliamentarians, local elected officials, Director General of EDD, and all the youth and notables of Arta expressed their deepest sympathy to the family and loved ones of the deceased. The latter was also the son-in-law of the Chief of General Staff of the Djibouti Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim. All pray to the merciful God to have mercy on his soul and to welcome him into his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Moving on to the international news, Afghanistan. Donald Trump ends peace negotiations with the Taliban. Donald Trump announced on Saturday evening that he was ending the year-long peace negotiations with the Taliban, who were trying to end 18 years of conflict in Afghanistan. Donald Trump justifies this decision by the continued attacks in Afghanistan during this period of negotiations. On Thursday, an American was killed in Kabul. In one of these attacks, the president asserts that the Taliban are the perpetrators. He also revealed in passing that he was about to receive Afghan President Ashraf Ghani and separately the main Taliban leaders in Camp David to the United States. This will have been unprecedented a few days before the 80th anniversary of the September 11 attacks. First, concrete rhyming with Kiev and Moscow, a glimmer of hope in the conflict that has been going on between Ukraine and Russia for the past 5 years. Early Saturday afternoon, 35 Ukrainian prisoners held in Russia, including filmmaker Oleg Sentsov, were released after an exchange with Russia. The 24 Ukrainian sailors captured last year by the Russian Coast Guard off the coast of Crimea are also among the released prisoners. On the Russian side, 35 prisoners held on Ukraine also returned home on Saturday. This exchange of prisoners could now make it possible to resume dialogue between Kiev and Moscow in a separatist conflict that has already claimed more than 13,000 lives. That's all for this news. Thank you for being with us on Radio Television of Djibouti, and have a good night.